What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Sam Adams here, and tonight we're going to be talking about Sunset Overdrive, a new game coming to the Xbox One from Insomniac Games, and so far this looks to be a very interesting game. It's got a lot of original ideas, and tonight we're just going to give it a little breakdown. I've got some notes on what the game basically is that I've gathered from different sources, and I've watched a good bit of gameplay, so we'll go ahead and give it a quick breakdown. I'll give my opinion of what I think of it, and hopefully you can take from what the information that I give you and my opinion and form your own opinion on the game. That's the goal anyways, so go ahead and sit back, relax, let's get into it. So what's the game actually about? What's the plot? Basically, Fizzco is like Monster in this game. Monster being the energy drink brand that a lot of teenagers drink, a lot of gamers drink it, and it's been sponsored in many, MX ATV kind of style game, or not games, but real life things. And they just came out with a new energy drink called the Overcharge Delirium XT. And this actually ends up, when people drink it, turning them into mutants, and it has a lot of cutscenes that remind me of Dead Rising 2 whenever this trailer came out for this Sunset Overdrive. And it portrays a very interesting, it's an original kind of thing. We've never seen an energy drink based game before, but it has a lot of the same principles as other games. Something infects people and then you have to survive in this world. But it takes a bit of a different approach to it. What Sunset Drive does differently than, say, Resident Evil, for instance, or Operation Raccoon City, which is another kind of similar game, is that it takes all of these things and it gives it a fun attitude. To put into perspective what kind of emotions this game is evoking, listen to the Dookie album from Green Day and look at that album cover and then compare it to some of the game screenshots and you'll go ahead and get what I'm saying. I'm gonna go ahead and throw up a screenshot of the album artwork of Green Day right here. And this is the Dookie album, and basically it's got just a whole bunch of clusters, it's just a giant cluster of stuff. And no one really knows what to do with it. It's just insane and crazy. That's a lot of the vibe that I'm getting from Sunset Overdrive, because it's just such an over-the-top, explosive game, and there's just a lot of punk rock influences in the game. And it certainly gives off a tone that we are not used to. As far as gameplay goes, it has a lot of the same stuff from a lot of different games pulled together. For instance, as I was watching the gameplay, there's a lot of grinding on rails and stuff, kind of like you're sliding in a Tony Hawk game along a rail, or grinding a rail, I guess it would actually be called in skateboarding. But that has actually, in my mind, transferred over from Infamous, and whenever you can grind on the light rail system, that's what that reminds me of. There are wall runs that remind me of Titanfall. There are jumps that remind me of Infamous Second Son, when you can get up on top of a car. I believe it was actually in Infamous 2 as well. Yes, it was in Infamous 2 as well, where you can get on top of a car or different kind of automobile, truck, van, whatever, and you can jump higher. Anything that looks remotely bounceable, you can jump really high off of. And yes, it gives it a really fun flow, but to keep you from just running along the ground as most people would do whenever they're used to like playing The Last of Us, or if they're used to playing Call of Duty, just running through the streets, there is this little awesome, basically it's a combo gauge. What this combo gauge does is basically kind of similar to Hotline Miami in a way. Whenever you start off in Hotline Miami, you can hit someone with a bat, then run, hit somebody with a door, go inside, take out as many guys as possible, and you end up having a streak of about 18 or 20 or whatever. In Sunset Overdrive, there's this little lightning bolt up in the corner of the screen that it basically gauges how you're doing on your combo meter, and it takes into account how much you're moving, how much you are punching other things, if you're killing a lot of things. It takes all of these things into account, and ultimately it makes you experience the game the way it is meant to be experienced. And I think this is something that should be included in a lot more games, because where we come short as gamers of these games that are coming out is that we don't play them the way they are supposed to be played. A lot of us, instead of doing Battlefield 4, just as an example, instead of using the Levolution on that one map, I believe it's called Siege of Shanghai if I remember correctly, where the giant building falls and it kind of ruins the map. It's supposed to happen. It's supposed to change the map in a different way, but a lot of people don't like the way it changes the map, and ultimately they end up not using it. Unfortunately, we tend to do that with more games than just Battlefield 4, and Sunset Overdrive by Insomniac Games, Insomniac changed this, and they are ensuring that you experience the game the way it is meant to be experienced, which is the flowy kind of parkour-like gameplay where you can shoot stuff while you're sliding along a wire. It just makes for a very interesting and unusual game in general. A cool thing is that they introduced factions into the game, and this is not something that we see a lot in games nowadays. There used to be factions a lot back in whenever I was playing like Red Faction Guerrilla per se in like 7th, 8th grade for me, which would probably be about 6 years ago. I don't remember. But there were a lot of factions, and in this, factions have been brought back. Unfortunately, there are only 2 that we have been told about at the time that I'm making this video. There are the Fargarths, which is basically, imagine a group of Dungeons and Dragons. Well, that's a bad example. Hold on. Imagine a group of Walking Dead fans, and they are waiting on the apocalypse to happen, just waiting, waiting, waiting. Cannot wait to start killing things. That's what the Fargarths are. They are the ones that this is a dream come true, to finally be able to kill mutants and to just run through the city in little factions and gangs. They are basically the ones that are fully embracing the apocalypse. Next, you've got Troop Bushido, which is basically this kind of clan of, I like to think of them as Buddhist monks. Basically, they live by a strict set of rules, and they kind of have that code of the warrior thing going on. It's kind of a gang vibe more than anything. Not a gang, but like a Asian triad, per se. And that'll add another interesting thing. I'm curious if they're going to use it like Destiny used factions, where you can join one and it pledges allegiance, and you have different missions that you can do based on the faction that you're in. That would give a very interesting twist on the gameplay if, for example, to keep people playing, you did daily or weekly missions based on certain faction groups, and the different factions that you could join originally, you know, change the way the game plays. This would add to the gameplay in a lot of different ways, and it would potentially keep people coming back for weeks to come, because in today's society, it's really hard to get people to come back to the game that they've been playing for a long time if it's not Call of Duty or Battlefield. To get people to come back to your game, you really, really have to hold their attention. And Sunset Overdrive has the potential to do that if they do it right. Unfortunately, back to the gameplay, the way that the strafe system works when you're down on the ground is, it's kind of like if you ever played State of Decay on the Xbox 360. It has a very, very hard, for a lack of a better word, strafing system where it's a very sudden jerk, and it doesn't look that great. And I can't tell you how it feels because I haven't felt the game. You know how a game feels whenever you play it. But it just looks to be a really choppy when you're not doing wall runs, and even the transitions from like jumping from a wire to a rail, it can be kind of glitchy at times, and I'm not sure if this is just pre-release footage, you know, just working out the glitches, or if this is actually going to be in the final game. But as of right now, there are a couple of glitches with the strafing system and the running system on the ground, and hopefully that'll get worked out, because if they don't get it worked out, that could potentially ruin the game for a lot of people and bring it down a couple points on a scale of 1 to 10. It could bring it down to an 8 if it were going to be a 10 to begin with, and that's something I know Insomniac doesn't want to do. Which reminds me, Insomniac Games is an amazing company. If you don't know, they're the creators of games like Ratchet and Clank and that entire series. That's all you really need. Ratchet and Clank is an amazing gaming series. Basically my childhood wrapped up in a nutshell. They did really well with that, and I trust Insomniac to handle Sunset Overdrive fairly well, especially considering it's an Xbox One exclusive, and they don't have to worry about a whole bunch of different consoles. They know what they're working with. They don't have to worry about console symmetry like Assassin's Creed Unity is, and Insomniac Games is a company worthy of this development. As far as the multiplayer and customization goes, multiplayer basically only has a co-op mode, or a couple of different modes with co-op. It's all co-op, there's no competitive. And this leaves a bit of a lacking feeling. I feel like this game could have a big potential when it comes to co-op, because of the wall runs and the way that you can grind on wires and stuff, it just seems like it would be common sense. Just imagine if you were grinding along a wire, you saw a player down below you, and you could jump off and stab them, kind of like an Assassin's Creed game. Or you could jump off and shoot them really quickly. There's just a lot left to be desired as far as the multiplayer goes, but the co-op does look pretty good. It kind of has a Nazi zombie feel to it, and it'll be interesting to see how that works out. As far as the customization goes, basically it's all for looks. You can customize it any way you want, but instead of doing the Destiny style clothing and accessories and armor and stuff where you can equip different accessories and it gives you different perks as far as attributes go, it is all for looks. I quote a video I was watching earlier: you can make a bearded woman and the beard does nothing, but they could have made the beard give, you know, a masculinity boost if that's a thing in the game, or an adrenaline boost, testosterone if that's a thing. That just seems like the kind of thing they would throw into the game. But hey, I'm not developing it. So customization is entirely for looks, and again, multiplayer leaves me with some to be desired. As a final side note, when I was watching the stream, the cutscenes are beautiful. Like, they are absolutely gorgeous cutscenes. The only thing is that the cutscenes are so gorgeous, whenever it cuts back to the other game, there's a distinct lack of transition. Like, there's no fade, there's no anything whatsoever. It's just like beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gameplay. And then you're just kind of like, because you know that that game could look like the cutscene. Now, don't hate me in the comments if you think that the game is beautiful. It's just, whenever I see a beautiful, beautiful cutscene, it's kind of like playing a Call of Duty game and looking at the movie-style cutscenes, yet playing the game and it's Call of Duty. You know, it's just, it leaves a little bit to be desired, but hopefully that won't be too much of a big deal on the gameplay. It'd be kind of like if you were playing Uncharted and the cutscenes didn't look like the game, because fortunately, Naughty Dog does a really good job with cutscene and gameplay symmetry, and hopefully Insomniac can pull this same symmetry off in the final version of the game. So that finally just leaves my opinion. What do I think about Sunset Overdrive? First off, as a prerequisite to this entire speech I'm about to give, I only have a PlayStation 4. I'm a PlayStation guy, but I pay attention to Xbox One because I think it has a lot of potential as a console itself, especially with some of the revolutionary well, not really accessories, but the revolutionary apps that it has, like the Snap NFL and stuff like that. So I've been paying attention anyways. But Sunset Overdrive is a really good looking game. As far as the mechanics go, it has a little bit of work that can be done, and I say all of these things with mentioning the fact that it comes out next week, so I haven't actually seen a complete release version of the game. I've just been looking at streams and other YouTube videos of it. But as far as I can see from that, it does look like a pretty solid game. The wall runs and stuff, and the grinding on the different light rails and wire system, it takes a lot from Infamous and Titanfall, and mainly Infamous, it looks like. But it's definitely something new. The storyline, it's going to be interesting to see how people take to the storyline, because it's a very unique storyline, something we haven't really seen before. No one's ever touched on energy drinks, but it is interesting that they're reaching out kind of to the, I don't want to call it rocker group of gamers, but it does seem like people that, I don't know why I keep saying this, but it just seems like Green Day and this game are connected in my mind. It just seems like those kind of people are going to like this game a whole lot more than your standard 50-year-old that has a day job and comes up and plays these games. But that vibe is something we all have to get behind, because, you know, games are too serious nowadays, and that's something that Sunset Overdrive has a lot going for it in. This game takes the seriousness out of gaming, and that's something that needs to be done. Normally when a mutant game comes along, it's Resident Evil, and there are a lot of emotions trying to be, you know, convicting you throughout the game. Like if you, for say, your friend gets bitten and you have to shoot him in the head if it's a zombie apocalypse game, that's supposed to, you know, convict you and make you feel all emotional and stuff. In Sunset Overdrive, there really aren't any friends or anything. You're just trying to get away from the mutants. And that's a pretty cool thing, because it's definitely switching it up as far as gameplay goes. Ultimately, this game comes out next week, and we'll get to it next Sunday whenever I do the drop for the 28th of October. And until then, you guys can check out some of the different gameplays on the different YouTube channels. But for this video, I want to thank you for watching it. If you liked it, please drop a like down below. Comment what you think of Sunset Overdrive, if you've seen any gameplay. If you haven't seen any gameplay, tell me what you would like to see from a game that has the parkour shooter elements in it. Kind of feels like a Tony Hawk game. Kind of takes a lot from Infamous. What would you like to see in Sunset Overdrive? And also, if you get a chance, head over to my channel and check out some of my other content. I post a lot of videos and I almost guarantee that there is something you will like. So that about wraps it up for today. Sunset Overdrive looks pretty good. Again, thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Peace.